We begin this hour with President Zelensky's calls to hold Russia accountable for the ongoing atrocities its military is committing in Ukraine.
Zelenskyy addressed the UN Security Council to bring attention to what he is calling the genocide in his country. On Monday, Zelenskyy traveled to the town of Bucha for his first known trip outside of Kyiv since the start of the invasion. There, he observed the horrific scene left behind by Russian troops. Over the weekend, images surfaced of mass grave sites and bodies strewn about in streets. At least 400 Ukrainians were killed in towns around Kyiv. While Russia has denied killing unarmed civilians, many global leaders say Russian leadership must now answer for its war crimes. Earlier, President Zelenskyy called on the UN to take action, saying Russia's deeds cannot go unpunished.
The Russian military and those who gave them orders must be brought to justice immediately for war crimes in Ukraine. Anyone who has given criminal orders and carried out them by killing our people will be brought before the tribunal, which should be similar to the Nuremberg tribunals. I would like to remind Russian diplomats that a man like von Ribbentrop has not escaped punishment for crimes in World War II. I would also like to remind you that Adolf Eichmann also did not go unpunished.
CBS News correspondent Pamela Falk joins us now from the United Nations headquarters in New York for more on this. Pam, you know all things UN. What has the response been to President Zelensky's comments at the UN today?
Well, with the sole exception of Russia, most of the nations at the United Nations, 141 countries, had voted for a resolution to get Russian troops out. Most nations are very supportive of Zelenskyy and of Ukraine, and especially hearing the most recent issues and the deaths and evidence that seems to be around in Bucha. Now, President Zelenskyy had just gone to Bucha, where, as you say, 400 people were found immediately. There may be more. And President Zelenskyy had three different issues that he brought up here at the UN. One was the brutality of it all. He went through chapter and verse of the grim details that they have seen. They shot and killed women outside their houses. They killed entire families. This is his words, adults and children. And then they tried to burn the bodies. That was the first issue that he wanted to do, was to convey to UN diplomats in the 15-nation powerful Security Council how brutal it was. Second, he wanted to make the point that there should be accountability, must be inevitable, are his words, that there have to be some kind of war crimes tribunals. And there are several inquiries already begun at the ICC, the International Criminal Courts, UN Human Rights. And the third thing that he wanted to do was basically tell this body, the United Nations, that either it has to reform itself or dissolve. And that's not a message that diplomats usually hear. He said you have two choices: either remove Russia as an aggressor and a source of war, meaning from this 15-nation Security Council with a veto, or the other option is to show how we can reform and change the seat itself. And so he goes way beyond what U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield said, which was kick Russia, boot them off the UN Human Rights Council. What Zelenskyy is basically saying is that the structure of the United Nations since 1945 can protect an aggressor, or as he called it, a colonizer.
So, Pamela, you just outlined many of the atrocities that we are slowly learning took place in Bucha. We know, however, that more are likely to come to light. You said several inquiries have already begun. How carefully is all of this evidence being detailed? How likely is it that Russia or any sort of Russian agents will be held responsible for these apparent war crimes?
Well, Tanya, Nikki, you're asking the right questions. The issue is, how can Putin ever sit in a dock in a war crimes trial? And the answer is that there is real evidence being collected in real time. And that is not the case in the Holocaust. That was not the case in the war crimes trial of the former Yugoslavia when Milosevic was tried. It took years in those cases. Right now, the UN has the monitoring mission there, actually picking up evidence and collecting it carefully. The UN Human Rights Office has begun an inquiry, and the International Criminal Court prosecutor has begun an inquiry and investigation based on 39 countries asking him to do so. So all of that's being collected. Now, if there were a trial, it would probably be a hybrid trial. Ukraine is capable of having this kind of a trial with other independent jurists, and then maybe there would be a way to get Putin, or there's a rare cases in which there can be a trial in absentia. But they are looking for some kind of justice after all that has been done. First, they're looking for peace, but second, they're looking for justice.
Those horrific images seared in our minds.
Let's hope they do find peace and justice as well.
Pamela, thank you so much for your time.